Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a lovely week so far. Today we're going to be talking about how to keep your hair dye maintained if you've got some brightness going on your head right now. If you're like me and you don't like natural hair colour, then some of these tips are probably going to save your life, because keeping your hair bright and vibrant is a full-time job. I've said this so many times on my channel before, and people will probably say to you, like they've done to me, I really want to dye my hair bright, can you give me some advice? And the biggest piece of advice I could ever give to someone who wants to go a bright hair colour is prepare yourselves. I wish you good luck. No, I'm making it sound a whole lot more dramatic than it actually is, but I did want to sit down and talk about some of my very biggest, that's not English, tips on how to keep your hair vibrant, because it is something I get asked so much. So much. Probably if I ever spoke about this in another video, it's too old now. So old that I don't want anyone looking at it because it's embarrassing. So I'm going to start from like small things, like little helpful pieces that you might want to include into your day-to-day lives, and then I'm going to end in like the most effective tips. So, tip number 1. It's probably going to be very beneficial if you do some experimenting, and these kinds of things don't just happen overnight. Like, you've got to have weeks of hair dyeing, or maybe even, months of hair dyeing to realise what lasted well on your hair, and just experiment with not even just different brands, but the different shades that that brand has. Even if I used Manic Panic because I loved it so much, I always use Manic Panic in directions, links in the description. But let's say I loved Manic Panic so much and I just used it all the time, and I had like no intentions of changing because I'd used everything else. Well, then something really small like Manic Panic's amplified version, which is basically the exact same thing, it's the exact same shade name, it's the exact same brand, it's just a different formula slightly, can change the way your hair fades. So like the fading colour might be nicer than another colour that fades the same amount but into a nasty colour. So basically just keep on trying different things and experimenting with what your hair colour is best with. Everyone's going to be slightly different. Some people are going to like the way one brand fades and someone else is going to say it fades too quickly. There's going to be all different types of things, but there are so many different hair dyes out there. Someone is doing the hoovering in my house. So my next piece of advice for you would be to make sure you have the lightest base possible. And what I mean by that is the blonder you are underneath the hair colour you have, the better the hair is going to fade. Because not only are you going to avoid having, I don't know, your pink hair fade to a bluey, purpley, whatever it was you had underneath it, it's also going to take longer to fade because that hair colour you've put on top of that blonde will have stained your hair more permanently. So although this stuff I use is only semi-permanent, it does still stain to a permanent condition sometimes, because I mean, if you're gonna drop semi-permanent hair dye on a white carpet, you're probably gonna expect a lot of staining there. So the same kind of works with your hair. Like, you want it to be nice and blonde underneath to make it less of a ball ache in the future. However, that obviously does mean if you're going to live by that rule, then you're going to have to bleach your hair every time you want to change your hair colour. And although that's not the best thing to do, it's probably going to help you from having to re-dye it a lot of the time. But the argument I always make is just make your hair as light as possible and dye it more often, because this is literally chemical free. I always say this. I could eat it if I really wanted to. Bleach more and hair dye less, or hair dye more and bleach less. It's totally up to you. It also depends if you plan on changing your hair colour a lot, because if you're like me and I change colours all the time, I probably don't want to be bleaching to blonde all the time. But if you just want to go blue and you're sure you want to stay blue for a long time, go blonde and then go blue. And of course, if you haven't seen one of my many hair dye videos to achieve bleach blonde, you're gonna need cream peroxide and dust-free powder bleach in Excel Blue, and around about a 20 vol peroxide, 6%. Now, I live in the UK, so that means I don't see a lot of sun and I don't swim in a lot of chlorine pools because that would be freezing. And it's not very common, unless you go to a swimming bar, to find a pool in the UK. Because I don't go on holidays too often as well, I mean, I only go on one like once a year, I'm alright. But if you're in a country where it's quite hot, you're going to want to keep your hair away from direct sun, so wear a hat, or I don't know, what else would you wear on your head? A cat? to keep your hair away from sunlight, because sunlight will do the same as bleach. It will just bleach out the hair colour sitting on your head, and also chlorine will do that. So if you're swimming in a lot of pools, hair dye probably isn't best for you because it will just strip out. I'm about to go on holiday and I'm expecting this hair colour to go this like salmony red, and I'm totally fine with that. I'm quite interested to see what happens. Yeah, that's what I expect to happen, and that's what will happen, so be careful for that. Okay, my next tip is kind of similar to the experimenting tip, where you have to like try out a number of different brands before you settle on one that you think is lasting very well. Something similar to that is to pick a lasting colour. If you're not necessarily set on a blue, a green, a yellow, an orange, a red, lavender, purple, whatever, if you're not set on any colour, but you just know that you want to have a vibrant, bright colour, then perhaps the best thing for you is to look into which hair colours last the best. So if you don't know, you can probably just do some quick Google searching, but from the top of my head, I know for sure that blue lasts really well. Pink doesn't. Pink fades very quickly. Red fades quickly in my opinion. Like, it stains the hair. Red stains the hair. It's hard to get red out, but it fades quick. I don't know if that makes any sense to anyone. Like, it doesn't stay true red very well. Orange isn't too bad. I think orange is quite alright. I've heard green is very hard to get out. Green stays for a very long time. Can't think of any more on the top of my head that last very well. Another really obvious but common tip that you might want to take on board: hair colour friendly shampoo and conditioners. It's kind of an obvious one. I'm not going to sit here and give you my recommendations for this, because honestly, if it says it on the bottle, then I'm probably going to believe that it does something to my hair. My mum uses these two, which is Treseme's conditioner and shampoo for colour vibrant protection. So this protects hair colour, as well as my own. Like, hers is just as good as mine, maybe even better, but I use L'Oreal Elvive Colour Protect shampoo and conditioner. Honestly, I think if you're using a well-known brand and it says that it protects colour on the bottle, then chances are you're gonna be okay. Speaking of shampoo and conditioner, something else that I like to do in my conditioner, I haven't done this with my mum's because that would be tragic as she's blonde. I put a little bit of my dye into my conditioner bottle, because like I said, my hair dye is basically just vegetable based dye. You don't need to worry about it going off or like chemicals or whatever going into your bottle. So I just literally pour a load of that in my conditioner, so that way when I go and condition my hair, I'm adding more dye in at the same time, which is a genius idea, because then you don't have to like go through the whole hair dye process. You're just washing your hair and you're adding some in just to give it a little bit more boost when you come out. That's a really simple tip, but one I think a lot of people don't know about and will benefit them hugely if they did. But remember, it's in there. Sometimes I've gone to change my hair colour and I'm like, ooh, best condition my hair, and then I'm like, oh no, and my hair's like turned purple because I've like put a bit of red with blue or something. So if you change your hair colour, remember to change your conditioner too. You're not gonna like this one. Wash your hair as little as possible. I know a lot of people are gonna hear that and say I possibly can't because my hair is just so greasy. I used to be like you. I used to wash my hair at night time and wake up and it was greasy already. I used to have the greasiest hair ever, and I think a lot of that was to do with the fact it was virgin hair, which means it's never been dyed before, and also it's very thin, and like the thinner your hair is, I feel like the easier it can get greasy. So just the thought of washing my hair less sounded ridiculous and impossible. But when I started dyeing my hair and introducing bleach to my hair, it dried my hair out a lot. Although that seems like a bad thing, it meant I didn't have as much problem with grease. Ew, I'm gross. But not only that, that is not something that I still can do completely on its own. Like, my hair doesn't just not go greasy anymore. That's stupid. My next tip is to rely on dry shampoo throughout the week. That is disgusting, but I don't even care because it keeps my hair red. You don't even need to go out and buy something expensive. These cans are like £1 each. This is just Morrison's own dry shampoo in Fabulously Fruity. Some can give you like volume and bounce, and they just kind of freshen up your hair anyway. Sometimes when my hair's not even greasy, I feel like my hair needs dry shampoo to give it some texture, because I much prefer hair that has texture to it. I feel like if I don't have hair that is holding texture, then it goes greasy very quickly. Like, I see girls with really shiny flowy hair in the street and I'm just like, if I did that I would be dripping with grease. And the last tip is going to go well with the don't wash your hair tip, because you're gonna hate this one. Not only will it be a lot better if you wash your hair less, but if you do wash your hair, you have to use freezing cold water. You can use cold water, you can use like a little colder than your normal temperature wash, but it's probably best if you keep it as cold as you can actually manage. That is because the science behind it, the warmer the water is, it makes your like hair follicles open up or something like that, and that makes hair dye come out and leak out. So if you keep it cold, you will notice like the evidence is literally right there in front of you. Try washing your hair with warm water and then try washing it with cold water. See which one releases less hair dye, and I guarantee you it will be the cold hair wash. If you can manage it, then wash your hair with cold water and thank me later. Those are all my favourite tips to give you for keeping your hair dye nice and vibrant. If you have any more tips that you feel like I missed out, then not only will I love reading them myself for my own benefit in the comments, but it'll be really good if you could help each other out in the comment section below. And today's Poop Troop featured member is this glorious image that was drawn of me in my hair ponytail extension that I recently did a video about, which is so cool. I'm even wearing the top that I was wearing in that video. Like, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Join me on social media such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and Snapchat. And for now, I'm gonna love ya and leave ya. Bye guys.